Cakes. This is Daisy X Machina, the drag queen detective who investigates all things speculative in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. And this is a Get Ready With Me where I put on drag makeup to film a video later today. And we have Lori going to be in and out while cleaning. You can stop my place next because I need to do some cleaning. We have John, yay! And we have Lynette, yay! And Frank, we have full house, all right. And as usual, how is everyone's reading going this week? Mine is, I decided if you saw Shelve It or Shove It, I was going to read this new horror novel by Nick Cutter, who I've never read before, called The Queen. And here's the thing. Goodreads for science fiction and fantasy, they have a category for new release by month. And they don't have that for horror, which is really annoying. So I go onto the horror section and they do have a list of new releases, but the group of books, you know, it changes every month. Some books get added, some get taken out. It's sort of a mishmash. So I try to find 5 books in a row that that I could use for Shelve It or Shove It. So long story long is I go to purchase The Queen and it's not going to be released until October 29. I had no idea. And I was just like ready. I was like, oh, now's the time for an adult horror. Can't wait. So anyway, I read this middle grade horror this week, which is Nothing to Write Home About. I don't even remember the name. The name's kind of cool. It's the Field Guide to something. Field Guide to Supernatural. Yeah. It's the Field Guide to the Supernatural Universe by Alison Noel, who I've never read before, but she's apparently was on the bestseller list for her young adult books for a while. Anyway, I don't recommend it. It's not bad. It's just, I don't think an adult would enjoy it. An evil woman named Helene knocked me off online for a while, but back to full power now. Oh dear. I'm in the middle of the big spring, summer to fall, winter changeover. Very little reading. You finished the Flavia Duluth. Now that's what I'm going to read next. I'm pretty sure I'm going to read the new Flavia Duluth. So hopefully it's worth it because I already bought it. Just read American Tabloid by James Ellroy. Very hard boiled. Oh, I haven't heard that author's name in a long time. He was pretty big. I think my father liked him too. Although now that I'm thinking, I'm getting him also confused with Dick Francis, which is another thriller writer. Okay, so I thought I don't really have a plan for makeup. I think I'm going to do blue. What did I do last week? Let's see. Last week was kind of purple. Yeah, I think it was purple with a yellow thing. So I think I'm going to do blue with a pink lid or pink with a blue lid. I'm going to do blue with the pink lid. As though anyone really cares. I just received the books I ordered for my birthday. So started to flick through them. Any good ones? Is Celine was that the hurricane? I'm sorry, I don't remember the names of. I know there was a big hurricane. I'm assuming it's a hurricane. Yeah, it's Celine. Okay. before I make myself look stupid. Well, that's not too hard. Yes, happy birthday, John. Feel free to lie, John. Okay, for blue, I have this. Also read Dr. Muter's Marvels, which is a bio about the doctor who was one of the first to do reconstructive surgery in America. He championed the use of anesthesia in fetus, I don't know what that means, fetus aseptic practices. How could you not advocate for anesthesia for surgery? I can't even imagine that. I'm such a wimp. Or maybe it's just in the society I grew up in. But. '66. Hey, almost a youngster. Okay, so that's the shape. Try to match it on this side. I don't know if Fetus got that sentence. He wanted doctors to wash, antiseptic, wash their hands before putting them on women giving birth. Yeah, that's another crazy thing about hygiene. As a new concept. Okay. Not quite matching, but. I will probably start the TJ Klune book today. The sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea. Forgot the title, but yeah, that looks good too. Have you read the Matthew Bartholomew Medieval Mysteries? He is a physician who tries to convince others that washing your hands is a good idea, much to general derision. I don't know if this is a myth or not, but like in that period of time, didn't they think washing was like unhealthy, too much washing? think I heard that 400,000 people die each year from hospital infections. Wow. I believe it. I mean, if it's a worldwide number. I got blue in my black. Okay. Okay, there we go. Susanna Gregory. The audiobooks are good as well. Yeah, I don't know that series, Lori. Then I am interested. I hate it when some books are listed as medieval instead of Tudor. Going to finally read Wolf Hall, but will probably be the only one I read by Ms. Mantell. Wolf Hall has been on my TBR for some time. 14th century. Okay, so. So I did finish watching The Rings of Power, season 2. And like I say, in order to just enjoy it a little bit, I have to divorce myself into thinking of this as anything to do with Tolkien. Because they take a lot of liberties. And it's okay. Just not that excited about it. One thing I am enjoying is the new Marvel series on Disney Plus, the Agatha All Along, which is a spin-off from WandaVision, which I think is one of the most brilliant superhero stories. Though I know not everyone here is a superhero buff. Oops. I now have BritBox. Been watching. Oh, I didn't even know it was a book series, but I have BritBox too. I got it for the old Doctor Who's, but I've been watching it for these. I mean, I don't know what it is about British and procedural mysteries, but they have a lot of really good ones. And Vera is one of the good ones. I love that actress. Um, I also really like the Agatha Christie Poirot, and there are a ton of them. I haven't even gone through them all. But yeah, I like BritBox. The Tudors are not considered medieval. There is some debate of when the medieval period is, but no historians take it into Tudor times. Would you have liked to have been born back then? Absolutely not. Although, if reincarnation is true, maybe we have. 500 to 1500. I think the latest you can end the medieval period is when Henry VII takes the throne. Now, I don't know if this is what period this is. I'm assuming it's medieval, but I love the movie A Lion in Winter. I think that's Henry VII, right? With Eleanor of Aquitaine. And their three sons. Maybe it's Henry VI. Okay, let's go really light. Hmm. My favorite professor in college was a medievalist, but it's not my favorite thing to study. Do you know that the Tudors were an Irish family that settled in Dyfed in the 8th century? Did not know that. You know, of all those old names that I always thought was interesting, and I have no idea of its origins, was Plantagenet. I don't know why, but I always thought that name really sounded like futuristic. Plantagenet. Cool Gamers here. Yay. Thank you for joining us. Cool. Eleanor was married to Henry II. So that's definitely medieval, right? Yay. Sure about that, John. Back in the 12th century, so definitely medieval. By the way, if you haven't seen the movie Lion in Winter, you are missing out. It's with Katharine Hepburn as Eleanor and Peter O'Toole as Henry II. Okay. So let me have the definitive history of Wales. I love history. I don't know if it was ever my favorite subject in school, but it certainly depended on the teacher, because some teachers can really make history come alive. Okay, I think I need to, maybe not. It's hard to tell when these eyeliners are about to die because they can get clogged up with all this cakey makeup I use. Okay, just making an outline of where I want things to go. Okay. I think the tutors were Welsh. Oh, Frank was a history major. There we go. In the same way that Angle ancestors of the Chisholms became Scots. My brother is really into this Irish stuff. He's a member of something called the Hibernian Society. Marches and parades. At school, we mainly learned Australian and British history and a little world history, very little American history. Isn't that interesting? We study other histories besides American. Scots kids get a very Anglified form of British history. My favorite was Russian history. yeah, I think you still are part of the British Empire. Well, the same way that Canada is. British Commonwealth, the Empire descendants. Okay, the Commonwealth. We won't say Empire. Yeah, I grew up the first up until around I think 10 or 11 in the west coast of the United States in California, and then moved to Maryland. And it is interesting on the how history was taught differently on the west coast and the east coast. Because on the west coast there is a lot about the like Spanish missionaries, everything sort of related to the to California, and we didn't get that much about the East Coast stuff. But when I moved to the East Coast, suddenly it was like all about the Civil War and the Founding Fathers and this and that. Okay. I am going to prime with pink. Yeah, I know on the East Coast there's almost nothing about the stuff we learned, what I thought was like the basic history stuff, but it was all California centric. Okay. Start with white. Makes you wonder what other in the U.S. what other states were taught, like the Midwest. I'm sure Texas, all about the Alamo, and I also remember, since I'm Japanese American and my mother was in a relocation camp during World War II, that history was like up, and a lot of it happened in California. That history was really up, and this is during the 70s, 80s. I don't know what people are taught these days, but I remember in the when we moved to the East Coast to Maryland, um, the Japanese relocation was one little paragraph that was what do you call it? It was like a little blurb that was sort of outside the main history text. But at least it was mentioned. Okay. The American history we learned was about the War of Independence because that led to the settling of Australia. I found that my fellow countrymen are both geographically and historically ill-informed, but quite a lot. You Aussies need to get rid of the Union Jack in your flag. I was at a lecture recently about the lecturer kept on about British and Scottish troops in North Africa. I would love it if Australia became a republic. I hate having Charles as my king. Camilla is even worse. Scots are British. John, you are absolutely correct. The rest of the world pays a lot of attention to us that we do to it. Go for it, Lori. Do your cleaning. All monarchies should go. I don't know. She seems, what's the word I want? She seems like someone who's very familiar with how he grew up. Okay, so I'm going to do pink. Okay, I'm going to start with the lightest one. Actually, let's start with a little bit of white. Okay, now pink. Okay, now we're going, it's dark pink. If it's not clear, I was trying to do an ombre. As a kid, I liked Charles, not so much anymore. When I was a kid, I thought he was cute. Fun with detergents. Oh, hopefully don't poison yourself. Andrew is far. Oh, yeah, Andrew is. Oh, they're all privileged kids. Yeah, my understanding is that they're all. It's like they're the leader of the Church of England, right? Or the Anglican Church. Why can't that be enough? Although it's still a monarch, right? They're still not like they're elected. I guess I kind of get the cultural significance of a monarchy, because they really don't hold any political power, although why do they still get briefed by the prime minister? But it does just seem so outdated. Okay, so I think it's time for the black. Even the Brits despise Charles. I assume we're talking about Charles. They would have abolished royalty by now. Supposedly they bring $2 billion in tourist money. Is that true? $2 billion? That's an awful lot. My mates are telling me Britain is going down the tubes. I hope Scotland joins Europe. I was christened Anglican, but became atheist. Oh, in your childhood. Wow. Keep hearing an awful lot of crap happening in the UK. I haven't heard, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the Anglican Church in the U.S. is the Episcopalian Church, and that's how I was baptized. All I know is that I was baptized by a bishop of the church and peed in his face when I was getting baptized. That's my only story. But I guess I consider myself agnostic now. But not during childhood. That's early. They have a small amount of political power. The Governor General had to get permission from the Queen to dismiss a legally elected Australian government back in 1975. That is crazy. Didn't become a non-believer until your early 20s. Yeah, it's pretty unusual, unless your parents, like, you're following your parents' example to become an atheist, agnostic at an early age. Okay. Joined the Celtic faith when you were 14. Interesting. What is the Celtic faith? At 8, I had major problems with the story of Noah's Ark. I ended up deciding that my book of Bible stories belonged with their mythology books. I love that. Who, with an IQ of over 90, wouldn't have a problem with Noah's Ark? It helped that, though my mother was a believer, that she was anti-church. My dad never talked about religion, though he was a Mason. Yeah, my father, well, my mother died when I was 11, 10. Just before we moved to Maryland, he stopped going to church. But before then, he was a big church goer. But I think it was mostly, not out of, for religious reasons, but because he grew up with the church as part of the community. It's like the part of the social fabric. But he married a woman who was Southern Baptist, and if you're from the U.S., you know. That's a big change. Okay. Many children believe in Noah's Ark. Well, there are some adults do. There's a whole theme park somewhere in the Midwest or South, Mid-South, whatever, that has a whole thing about Noah's Ark. Any American president who said Noah's Ark is a myth would not be reelected. I don't know if that's true today. I mean, I'm sure it was true, but I don't know. That's interesting. It's complicated. We believe there's a god and goddess. All the gods are firstborn children. Jesus is the last semi-divine son, and humans are the last born children so far. Interesting. Sounds sort of like pagan/Gnostic. I still have my copy of Bible Stories for Children by Charles Paddock. I love it because it is the book that began my road to atheism. I never had any idea what those Catholic priests were really up to when I was a kid. Did you grow up when they were still doing their services in Latin? I kind of think that's kind of cool that no one knows what they're actually saying. Okay. Okay, so I have this glittery stuff. Got it really cheap online. Shoot, I don't really have a pink. Yes, I do. I found it. So let's see. So hopefully will add a little sparkle when filming. Probably don't see much right now. Oops. Okay. Sounds like the ancient druids and other animists. Yes, the druid and dryad are ancient priests of the faith. Really? I never heard, I know I'm for druid, but dryad I always thought we were tree spirits. Is that like a female druid? I loved reading mythology as a child, but thought Christian stories were boring compared to Greek, Roman, Viking, Native American, African, Australian. Dryad is the feminine form of druids. I never knew that. Never knew that. I like my copy of the King James Version, even though I've known for years a good part of it is pure rubbish. I've read the Bible from start to end as a teenager. Many Christians haven't read it at all. Okay, I need to brush off this bake. I don't think I've read it from start to finish. I've certainly read passages. I remember my grandfather on my father's side saying it's the best piece of literature ever written. When I was a teenager at the time, I was skeptical of that. Okay, so okay. And let's try to smoke it out. Making my wife breakfast. Yay, good for you, John. New Testament was favorite was the Gospel of Luke. We Catholics were told it's fine if you want to read the Bible, but we'll tell you what you need to know. I think a lot of religions are like that. What does old Luke say in there? What's I doing? Oh, come back here. Yeah, my husband's Catholic. He still goes to church he goes to church a lot. He was born and grew up in the Philippines, which is a very, very Catholic country. Okay. So I think the eyes are done. I say that, and now I want to go back and just do that. Okay. Okay. Luke was a healer doctor. My mom liked the old Bible movies, such as the Ten Commandments. I remember liking those. Your Bible verse is Proverbs 16:32. No idea what that means. Charlton Heston. Planet of the Apes blew my mind when I was 12. Yeah. Yeah. Love those Ten Commandments. And what's the other one? Ben-Hur. Is Ben-Hur a Bible story? I don't even know. I remember there was one called The Robe, which I really liked. I think that was The Robe. What was the one where the guy thought he was trying to be to fly, to go out on this like bar, but then sort of went crazy and thought he could really fly? Okay. Yeah, I think we're on to lips. Oh, I have a new thing. Thank you, Frank. Love the teal. Hopefully with the green screen, it won't look too weird. Whoever's slow to anger is better than the mighty. Can't remember the rest. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm trying this new thing. Okay. John's back, yay! I do like some of the proverbs, some are just common sense. Or is there something? Oh, thank you. I think the rest he'd rather be a person like that than to be able to take a city. I will have to select a horror story for this month. Well, if it's the Queen, you'll have to wait till October 29th to get it. And I was really excited to read it, too. But I do want to read the T.J. Klune, but I also, there's a new book by T. Kingfisher. And I think that one was tagged as horror as well. I'm sure it's fantasy horror because it's called A Sorceress Comes to Call. I think I'm actually more interested in A Sorceress Comes to Call than I am the new T.J. Klune. But mostly because I just am a huge fan of T. Kingfisher. Oh, fudge. Hmm. Reading the Bible, you must separate the wheat from the chaff. To use a biblical phrase, my horror story, the wrong person wins the U.S. election. Maybe I should give Stephen Graham Jones one more chance. Or else read another Owl Going Back novel. I don't know that one. That would be a horror, The Handmaid's Tale come true. I hope Lori's not here. We don't want to talk about politics. Nice to see Jimmy Carter can make it to 100. Hopefully he will last long enough for his vote to count. Second that. You did the blush very well. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Frank. Al going back as a Native American horror author. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I did not like Stephen Graham Jones's. What's the one I read? The Only Good Indian, something like that. Oh, come on. And eyelashes. I read 3 of Al's books a few years ago. Well, you know I'm looking for a new horror writer. I know T. Kingfisher did write The House with Good Bones, something like that, which is a contemporary horror. Yeah, I just thought it was okay. I prefer her fantasy. I'm still waiting for a new book by the author of The Book Eaters. I can't remember her name right off. Not Safi. I'll look it up. Sun Yi Dean. But my understanding is she's not doing a sequel. She's doing some other type of standalone book. I would have liked to see a sequel to Book Eaters because I think it's such a fascinating concept. The horror novel I read for one of my Shelve It or Shove It, Someone to Build a Nest In, I thought was fantastic. But that one's again a fantasy horror. Because I know a lot of people when they say horror, they infer that it's contemporary. Which makes sense because that's what Stephen King, Clive Barker, Anne Rice are all contemporary. Alrighty, eyelashes are in. I didn't like Only Good Indians, but I shouldn't judge an author by just one book. Fair enough. I mean, I do it. I do it. If I read a book I don't like it, I rarely go back to it. Louise Erdrich, supposed to be a very good Native American writer, but I haven't read her. There's another one on the Booker Prize list. Rebecca Roanhorse. Yeah, I've been meaning to read something by Rebecca Roanhorse. I haven't read anything by her. Debate whether she's Native American or not. She is half black and was adopted by a black couple. Her birth mother is Native American. I believe her husband is Apache. Now they have white people pretending to be something else in order to get ahead. I haven't read it, but that's the whole premise for the novel Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Okay, so put on some jewels. And the hair I grabbed was my good old double stack. Double stack meaning this is made of 2 wigs, and there's like a plastic bag in it. You can hear it crunch. And we'll throw on some gloves. We know Edrich's husband offed himself after child molester allegations. Yipes. Who was Louise Erdrich? I don't know who that writer is. Don't read Yellowface, not worth it. Rebecca's husband is Navajo. Yeah, I've heard mixed things about Yellowface, but I think the premise is interesting. Reads with Cindy really kind of tore it up. If you listen to that YouTuber or booktuber. Okie doke. But I still maintain Babel by R.F. Kuang is amazing, in my opinion. Okay. This is the final look. We did the blue eyes, pink lids, and the basically everything else. I made my mouth a little bigger today because I was trying something out. I don't know if I'll do that again, but there we go. Earrings remind you of the Walmart logo? Really? They're supposed to be daisies. Today, we kind of MILF, the kind of thing it's a turn on. Woohoo! Okay, guys. Oh, Roanhorse is adopted by white people. But, you know, even if you're adopted by a white person or white couple and you're a person of color, and you grow up maybe with a different culture than others, you're still treated differently because of how you look. So, okay, thank you so much, Lynette. Okay, guys, I should be here next week. Actually, I think it's Gay Pride in Las Vegas next week. So I'll be doing things that weekend, but I should still be here. And I'll be filming this week another episode of the top science fiction writers. And I'll be releasing this week, I believe, fantasy authors, the next in that series. So that's the plan anyway. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. And as usual, may all the books you read be blessed.